It just kind of looks like a lager.
It looks dark in the glass, but when you pour it, it's like a brown ale or lager. Yeah.
It does.
Or like a black lager.
Yeah. I'm used to porters or stouts that are really dark. Ooh, that smells good.
It smells like an IPA. It has so much head. Okay, stop. The Monica Lewinsky joke. I'm sorry,
but
Monica.
I don't want to make a joke about her because, like...
Fine, the Bill Clinton jokes
she's a
are
person
over.
Too. Yeah. Oh my God, that's good.
What is that, Flora Obscura?
That is so good. Oh.
Like, yeah.
That's good.
It's literally an IPA that has a finish like a stout.
That is so good.
That's so weird.
I am digging this. I'm digging it.
Yeah, because
so good.
All the fall beers like aren't really hoppy.
Yeah.
But this is like super hoppy, but also like a stout.
Yeah, this is delish.
I can't wait for all the Christmas spicy beers.
I know. I already saw some that I want to get for our December episodes. I saw a can that had like elves on it.
Oh, how cute.
If you hear me listening to Christmas music, remember, it costs $0 to mind your own fucking business. Or something like that.
Because people should stop taking the joy away from the holidays.
Yeah.
We have to... I love Christmas. No, you were going to sing that.
Let's see. I took my sister to San Diego, but it was like it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Probably early this year, like in the spring. Yeah. It was far away from Christmas time. And on our way back from San Diego, we listened to Christmas music.
You have to.
And it was like June. It was like the middle of the year.
In all these places we live, there are always 2 or 3 months of the year that suck, no matter where you live. Mm-hmm. We just did our 115-degree days for months. Yeah, so let us have Christmas music. Mm-hmm. It's not cold outside, but we can go outside and breathe. Yeah. So, it's 65 in the morning. Yeah. And now it's 90, but we're loving it. Yeah. Have you heard of the Family Annihilator story of Christy Sheats?
No.
In Texas. In 2016.
I don't recognize the name.
But it's possible, because it's pretty recent.
Maybe, but I don't think I know. Like, I don't recognize the name at all.
I didn't know.
Is it... I don't know. I don't think so. I've never heard of her for sure. So if I've heard,
it made national news a few years ago, but
I'm sure I've heard a small deet about the case, but I don't know her name and I don't know much.
Okay, so her name is Christy Byrd Sheats.
Bird shit. I can call. She killed her people, right?
Yes.
Okay, Christy Byrd Shit is her name.
I knew you would love that. So
Christy Byrd. Wait, Christy or Christine?
Christy Byrd Sheats.
I feel bad that her first name is Christy because
we love some Christies.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the story of Christy Byrd Sheats?
Yes.
Okay. Christy Byrd Sheats was born in Decatur, Alabama in 1974. When she was in her early 20s, she met and married Jason Sheats. So she wasn't born. I think she was born Christy Byrd, and then she became Christy Byrd Sheats.
The shit came later.
Came later, but Jason was not a shit. He was a Sheets, though. The two started a life together in Huntsville, Alabama, which is weird because that's where my husband's from. Mm. So in 1994, Christy Byrd Sheats and Jason were expecting a girl, and she was born on April 19th. It was their first child, and her name was Taylor. In 1994. 5 years later, they got pregnant again, and Christy gave birth to their second daughter, Madison, on October 21st, 1998. During the girl's childhood, the entire family moved to Katy, Texas, which is a suburb of Houston. And Taylor, the older of the two, was really interested in helping others. She went through middle school and high school in Houston. Mm-hmm. She was a member of the Future Healthcare Professionals, which is funny because I don't know if you know this about me, but I was a member of the Future Farmers of America, which I'm not a farmer. But I just think that that's funny to tell people I was in FFA. She was in the National Honor Society, and she played on the school softball team. Mm-hmm. She was particularly interested in and really good at art, especially drawing. She would draw portraits, cartoons, and she was really good at replicating anything she saw. Mm-hmm. She was very good at replicating things. So when she graduated high school in 2012, she was working as a professional nanny, and the children loved her sense of humor. She would draw cartoons for them, and her really caring nature. Taylor's little sister Madison also attended Seven Lakes High School, which is in Houston. That's where they went. She was also in the National Honor Society, as well as the Spanish National Honor Society. She was also in a club called SOS, which stood for Spartans Out Serving. It was like a volunteer club, and they were the Spartans in school, and they called themselves SOS.
This is Sparta!
So they did volunteer work in the Spartans Out Serving. Taylor also loved kids, and she was also a babysitter and a dog sitter, and she did that to earn money in high school, just like her older sister Taylor did. Mm-hmm. Madison was an early worm, or an early bird. She was an early bird.
Was Christy an early bird?
I don't think so. Oh, she wasn't early. She was born a bird. So she was like an early bird and loved making big breakfast for her family and stuff like that. In 2012, the year Taylor graduated high school, her great-grandpa passed away. And her mother, Christy, fell into a super deep depression because of this.
With her dad, I'm guessing?
Mm-hmm. Okay. She was really close with her grandpa. She had had some bouts of depression before, like prior to this, but this is where she really fell into like a downward spiral. And she started bringing kind of her family into that downward spiral with her. Mm-hmm. And she brought Jason, her husband, into that. And by that I mean like their marriage really started suffering. They weren't getting along. They started fighting, all these things. So over the next 4 years, Christy was on a variety of prescriptions to try to help her depression, but they didn't really help her enough because she ended up turning to alcohol. And she became like a really terrible like day drunk alcoholic. She and her daughters continued to be really, really close, though. And this family, it's relevant because it's the family, but it's interesting because they were like a regular suburban family. They were like upper middle class, suburb of Houston, like very quote-unquote normal family. And she was really close with their daughters. Like, for example, on social media, Taylor and Madison praised their mother all the time, even though in these 4 years, the police were called to their house 14 separate times for, like, disputes. And it wasn't always, like, a dispute. Sometimes it was her mom got, like, they were called because the fire alarm wouldn't stop going off, or, like, just random things, but the police just kept being called to the house. Christy also attempted suicide 3 times and was unsuccessful in her attempt. Her marriage essentially was over, even though they all still lived together, but like she didn't have the same relationship with Jason she did before, even though they'd been together 20 years and things were just like kind of falling apart. And the dad, Jason, was super, super close to Taylor and Madison. Like they were like all best friends. So in June of 2016, Taylor had just finished her associate's degree from Lone Star College, and she was beginning a major in diagnostic sonography. So she wanted to be a sonographer at the University of Houston. She was in the Phi Theta Kappa sorority, and she was super, super excited because it was the month of her wedding. So it was June 2016. She was getting married to her long boyfriend named Juan Lugo, and it was just like all really good for her, except for her relationship with her mom was still having like her issues. Just kept more and more drinking, more and more drug, like prescription drug use, that kind of thing. Her wedding was a few days away. So Madison had just finished her junior year at Seven Lakes and was ready for her senior year. She was 17. So on Friday, June 24th of 2016, Jason was out with Madison, like just running errands or whatever, the younger daughter. The two returned home, and Christy and Taylor were both there. Taylor's the one that's getting married. When Taylor and Madison were, like, hanging out inside, Jason went to the backyard where Christy was sitting. And Christy was out there just sitting in the yard, whatever. It was a summer day in Houston, having a drink or something. And he told her, like, once and for all, he wants a divorce. He can't do it anymore. He wants to move out. He's done. So we can only imagine how upset Christy was, especially with Taylor's wedding day on Monday, and it's, like, a big weekend, and she's grieving her grandpa for years now. She, like, can't... Not that you should get over someone dying,
right,
but she really can't get over it. Yeah, she can't get over it. So Christy decided it was time to have like a family meeting. So she called everyone into the family home for a family meeting a few minutes later. And Jason braced himself because he knew this was going to be about the divorce, and he didn't want her to like freak out. And she was already drunk and like in front of the kids and all that. But it wasn't a family meeting about the divorce. The family was called from the computer room where the girls were like hanging out on the computer and stuff to the living room, and the whole family sat around like the coffee table on some couches and were like just like waiting for their mom to say something. Well, instead of the mom saying anything, Christy pulled out a .38 caliber pistol that her grandpa had given her, and she pointed it at Jason. And she yelled at him and said, "You made me do this." And so all of a sudden it's just like escalated and everyone's like, what is happening? Some arguing happened, and as Jason tried to talk Christy down, which he even admits this, he survives. He even admits this now that he got really mean to her at the time, and he was like, "Why don't you turn it on yourself, huh? If you're this upset, like go ahead and just shoot yourself." Like they really got fighty, not physically, but like they were not saying nice words to each other.
Which I can't even say anything bad about that because I can't imagine, and I'm sure he beats himself up enough that he doesn't need us talking.
And he even admitted that he's like, I feel so bad that I said that.
He has to live with that.
Yeah, he does, and he's aware of that. So Madison and Taylor, as they were like arguing and she had the gun point at Jason, they were like trying to like kind of sneak out, like... All right, while they're arguing, we're just going to leave. But instead, when they started to run out the door, Christy turned from Jason and shot their 22-year-old daughter, Taylor, in the back.
Oh, my God.
And then she shot Madison as well. And they both were still running out the front door. They ran out the front door of the family home and into the street. They lived on a cul-de-sac. And Jason followed, trying to escape. So he was running too. And Jason wasn't shot. As they ran, Taylor fell into the street because she had been shot. And then Christy came out of the house, got on top of Taylor, kneeled over her, and just boom, boom, shot her twice more in the street. By now, a neighbor had called 911 because he heard the gunshots. And I listened to the 911 call, and you can hear Jason pleading with Christy because he's like standing. He must be standing on his patio or in the yard and looking or something, because you can hear Jason say, "Whatever you want, it's yours. Don't do this." Like you hear him on the 911 call. And then one of the girls says, "Please, please forgive me. Don't shoot. Please don't point the gun at her. Stop. Like, don't point the gun at her." And I don't know which girl it was. I'm assuming it's Madison because Taylor's been shot a couple times now. And then Jason says in the 911 call, please don't, there are kids. Madison continues to run and Christy shoots her in the back. And then the neighbor on the 911 call says, she shot her, she just fell in the street. And police were sent out like immediately because it was an active shooting in progress. During the 911 call, Madison falls onto the concrete. Christy goes back inside. The neighbor on the 911 call thinks that she's going to go get more bullets because Jason's still running.
Did she shoot Jason at all? Just the kids. Okay.
Yeah, but she runs back inside. The neighbor's essentially like, I think she's going to go get more bullets. I think she's going to like shoot Jason or shoot her husband. So Jason runs all the way to the end of the cul-de-sac and he's like still going, hiding out. So the police arrive and Christy comes back out ready to shoot. She has the gun again. She refuses to surrender her weapon when police come, so one of them shoots her in the head and she like dies at the scene because she refuses to surrender her weapon.
She committed suicide by police.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a very common thing.
Yeah, she just refused to. They're like, we'll shoot. We're gonna shoot.
They want them to be,
So Jason at the scene, I watched like some video footage and he was inconsolable. He was taken to a hospital for mental assistance. He had 2 police officers holding him up. Like it was just the saddest video I've ever seen.
Yeah, this makes me want to cry so much
right now. Oh, I cried watching the video. It was so sad. Taylor died at the scene and Madison was life flighted to Texas Medical Center but died like pretty much immediately from getting to the hospital. Leading up to the murders, Christy had began posting really right-wing, conservative, pro-gun, pro-Trump, anti-Obama propaganda on her social media pages. And I don't really want to get into politics right now, but she was obviously going through something and held a lot of anger or resentment for gun control and for politics. And then obviously with her depression from her grandpa dying, all these things.
And no matter which side you're on, like I won't get into it either, but no matter which side you're on, there is a lot of resentment from one side to the other. Whether you're conservative or liberal, there is a lot, not from everyone, not saying the average person, but extremes on both sides. And that's what's talked about is like extreme people on the right and extreme on the left and all of the animosity. So like that's what we feed into and that's what's shoved in our face. And she
fed into it hard. Like she really fell into the thing where she couldn't get out of this right-wing anger and some people can't get out of the left-wing anger. Yeah. And she couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what side you're on, you're going through the same thing.
Yeah, you're frustrated because someone doesn't have the same beliefs as you.
Yeah.
So at the daughter's funeral service, Jason, who was a super great dad and really close with both of his daughters, said, quote, if you have loved ones, tell them you love them every day and give them a hug because you never know when it might be your last day. Later, friends of Taylor's spoke out saying that Taylor had recently told them that her mother was worrying her. She also expressed fears that there were guns in the home. She told her friend Michael Wiley that Taylor was keeping an extra eye on Madison because she was afraid for her. She couldn't quite say what the fear was, but she just felt like an uneasy feeling. Taylor told Michael, I don't know what's going on with my mom, but I feel like I need to do something. Maybe I can tell her to put the guns in a very safe place where maybe she'll forget where they're at, question mark. Like that was a text she sent Michael. So this isn't necessarily familicide, but it was an attempted familicide. Jason thinks, though, that she would have never killed him. He thinks that she did it because she was so mad at him that she knew...
taking away the one thing.
She knew that that's the one thing that would ruin his life. Like, if she took her own life, he'd be sad because that's horrible. But she knew that, like, he was so close with his 17 and 22-year-old daughter that would destroy him.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of is like...
But we don't know. She may have killed him. I don't know.
But that's there's other cases like that. Like, the Powell case is kind of like that where they kill... Like, the husband will kill the kids... because it's the only way to get back at the mom is like to take away someone's kids, even though they're your own kids. Oh my God,
isn't that a terrible story? Yeah. I mean, they're all terrible, but like it's horrible when anyone of any age dies. But like it's right before a wedding, and this girl's going in her senior
someone being
year,
killed by their own mom. Like you were pregnant, you carry
and you raise them to their teen and adult years.
And that's why I think that there's not very many studies on familicide or family annihilators, is because we can look at someone like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer or BTK and we can say, okay, we can either say they're like, we'll find out they're a psychopath and we know it's chemical, or we can say they were traumatized as a kid and this and this. Yeah. But familicide is so different and so traumatic and so hard to understand that there's almost no way for other humans to study it, because how can we ever understand that
also,
or put...
A family is such a unit, and every single person in that family, especially the parents, has put everything they have into it. Everything you have. And imagine, like, I feel so bad for Jason, because imagine literally he put his whole life into this family. He's been with this family for over 20 years. Yeah. and then, like, it's gone.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you come back from that?
And even someone like Ted Bundy or BJ, right? I'm picking on the super known ones. They didn't go home and kill their wife or kill their kids.
No, they kept their families.
Protected their